The hottest nation heading into this summer's Euros is not France, it's not England, it's not even the world #1 Belgium. It's Italy, who didn't even make the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Don't let that fool you though, because this team will surprise a lot of people. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Will Fowler, back with another Euro 2020 preview video. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So happy to have you in this space again. So nice to see you again. If you're new, first of all, welcome. You're in the right place. If you enjoy what you see in the next few minutes, please consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, pressing that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Plenty more Euro 2020 videos and Copa America videos on the horizon. You're not going to want to miss any of them. We're not used to discussing Italy as a second-tier nation in terms of the favorites in big international competitions like this one, but that's exactly where we are for this summer's European Championships. They missed out on the World Cup 2 years ago in Russia. They sacked their manager. They fell down the pecking order a little bit, but they still enter this summer's European Championships as one of the best and most consistent sides in international football. Italy have not lost a competitive match since September 10th, 2018. That's almost 3 years since Italy have been on the losing end of a match. 27 straight matches in which they've either won or drawn. But can they carry that form into Euro 2020? That's the question we're going to try to figure out in the next few minutes. First, let's take a look at the squad and who Italy have chosen to bring to this summer's Euros. The main man for this Italy squad that I'm going to talk about right away is Napoli's Lorenzo Insigne. He is an absolute joy to watch when he's on the pitch, whether it's for Napoli or for the Italian national team. Plays on the left of an attacking three. He's creative, he's pacey, he's a fantastic dribbler, he links up well with players around him, and he'll also play as a bit of an inverted winger in the sense that he likes to get central as well, be in those more prolific positions on the pitch where you can create a little bit more, be a bit more involved. And with a player like Insigne, that's exactly where you want his talent playing, is in the middle of the pitch. Alongside Lorenzo Insigne in this Italy attack is Ciro Immobile, who is actually representing Italy for the first time in a major international tournament. Thank you very much, World Cup 2018. But don't let that distract you or dissuade you from the fact that he is entering this summer's Euros as one of the most complete and most talented strikers in the entire field. The best thing he does for Lazio in Serie A is score. Very simply, it's score goals. 123 goals in 177 appearances for Lazio. That's who he is. He's a complete forward, but he's so good in front of goal. He's a fantastic finisher, but he does other things as well, and that's what I think we'll see a bit more of with the Italian national team. For example, he likes to run into space. He likes to get in behind the opposing team center backs. He's actually relatively decent in terms of compared to other strikers in link-up play. Very good at finding runs off of his back shoulders, and with players like Insigne or somebody like Domenico Berardi or Federico Chiesa, those runs will be there. And the big question, I think, for Immobile and for Insigne, but for the Italian national team as a whole, is does Italy go as far as Lorenzo Insigne and Ciro Immobile go? Because yes, the midfield is strong, and we'll get into that in a little bit. The defense is fine. It's a bit old, but for now it's fine. But really, Italy's two best attacking players are Immobile or Insigne, and you can make the argument that without their top contributions, Italy are dead in the mud based on some of the other teams that are competing in this summer's Euros. Italy will play in an attacking three, though. It'll be Insigne on the left, Immobile in the middle, and then either Domenico Berardi or Federico Chiesa on the right-hand side. Maybe Federico Bernardeschi, but he probably won't start over Chiesa or Berardi. Two really good players, and I do rate both of them, but what's neat is that they're very different. For example, Berardi, who will likely get the nod, at least on match day 1 against Turkey, because Federico Chiesa is not at full match fitness. He likes to play as an inside forward. He likes to get central. It's the same when he plays for Sassuolo. But with this Italy side, he'll look to do exactly the same thing. He'll look to start on the right, but get central, especially with the overlapping runs from Alessandro Florenzi or Nicolo Barella over on the right side. Berardi will likely look to either cut inside and play with Immobile in the penalty area, or he could be the kind of player that sits on the edge of the 18-yard box and looks to shoot from distance, or if the opposition is playing in a low block, to pull a defender or a midfielder out to open up space for some runs in. And then Chiesa is quite the opposite, because he's a player who can play on both sides of the pitch. He can play on the right or on the left, but he likes to stay there. He likes to stay wide. He doesn't get centrally as much as Berardi or Insigne do. he likes to operate from the sidelines. Not a chalk on the boots type player, but certainly a player who is most comfortable when he's playing wide on one of the two flanks. And that provides Italy some flexibility tactically in attack, depending on what they want to do to the opposition. Do they want to congest the center? And if so, maybe you go with a player like Berardi. Do you want to stretch out the back line? If so, maybe you go with Chiesa to pull a fullback out to meet him. I think based on what Italy have, Domenico Berardi probably fits this side a little bit better than Federico Chiesa does, but both provide something unique and different. It will be interesting to see what Italy choose to do. Not so much match day 1, because again, I think Berardi will get the nod. I don't think Chiesa is fit to start, but match days 2 and 3, how Italy choose to play an attack with both of them ideally fully fit. We mentioned Federico Bernardeschi, who could play a role off the bench on that right-hand side. Andrea Belotti, another player who can come off the bench for the Azzurri and replace Ciro Immobile at that striker position. Lots of talent in this Italian attack, but it is still very reliant, not in a bad way, but very reliant on the contributions of Lorenzo Insigne and whatever Ciro Immobile will bring in his first major international competition with Italy. Marco Verratti is the main man for Italy in midfield, but he will likely miss out, at least at the start of the tournament, with a knee injury. That's the bad news. The good news is that this is an Italian midfield with a number of players who can come in and plug that hole perfectly fine. For example, Nicolo Barella has developed into a fantastic central midfielder for Inter Milan, who actually, if this tournament was when it was scheduled to happen last summer, Barella may not even have been starting in this team because he's still very young. But he's developed into a brilliant passer, very, very strong on the ball, can create from central positions or from wide. If, for example, Berardi is cutting inside, Barella can occupy that space. But I think Barella starts in this Italian midfield regardless of whether or not Verratti is fully healthy and playing. I think the player that comes in to replace Verratti in this Italian midfield is Sassuolo's Manuel Locatelli, who many people may not know about. If you don't know about Manuel Locatelli, watch literally any video of him playing at Sassuolo, because he is a fantastic, fantastic footballer. He was at the heart of the Sassuolo side that finished a respectable 8th place in Serie A this past season. And similar to Barella, he's a brilliant passer of the ball, likes to carry the ball forward as well. He was one of Sassuolo's most progressive players in their most recent club season. And he's also decent in one-on-one defending situations, at least for a midfielder standard. He's no Giorgio Chiellini or Leonardo Bonucci, but he can make plays in midfield when they're out of possession to win the ball back and then initiate the attack for Italy. It is unfortunate that he may not start when Verratti is back fully fit with the team. Verratti is a fantastic footballer. He should be in the Italian midfield when he's fully fit, but it just stinks that Manuel Locatelli is probably the one that's going to miss out, because he is fantastic in his own right as well. Filling out the midfield is a name that Chelsea fans are familiar with. Jorginho will play as the number 6 in this Italian midfield. He'll sit in front of the center backs. He'll sit in front of Chiellini and Bonucci and screen them, which will help because Chiellini and Bonucci are not young bucks anymore. They're aging. They've got some aging legs on them, so Jorginho being back there to assist will certainly help. But he's also going to play as that metronome in midfield, that player who will not get as involved with the attack, but can help recycle possession or move the ball from flank to flank or drive the ball forward, progress the ball if he has to. He too is a fantastic passer. Specifically, he can pick out a long ball, whether it be to a midfielder or to somebody like Ciro Immobile, who may be backing down the center back, or to Domenico Berardi or Lorenzo Insigne, who may find themselves in space over on the flanks. Jorginho does have a very important role to play in this Italian midfield. You can argue maybe it's the most important of the 3 midfielders, because he is the one who's going to allow the midfielders like Nicolo Barella, Marco Verratti, Manuel Locatelli to get up the pitch and to create and do what they do best. It's because Jorginho is there playing in defense, limiting the counterattacking opportunities for the opposition. Don't be surprised if Jorginho wins a couple Man of the Match awards throughout this tournament for Italy. The defense is led by 2 well-known names that I feel like I've been with the Italian national team since I learned how to walk, and that's Giorgio Chiellini and Leonardo Bonucci, 2 old. I don't know if that's fair to use old as the first adjective to describe them, because they are, but they're still exceptional defenders. They're still very, very good with Juventus in Serie A. Big, strong, physical. They are the epitome of wearing a badge with pride, especially when it's this Italian crest, because when you watch Bonucci and Chiellini play in this Italian back line, they're 35 and they look like they're playing like they're 25, and it's just because they've got so much energy, so much passion for the crest. They're fantastic center backs. Now that said, there is wear on their legs. They are not spring chickens anymore. They are aging quite a bit, which is why the presence of Jorginho will be so important, because he is an extra player to have in defense to at the very least, limit counterattacking opportunities. This is an Italian defense that, against better opposition, will probably have to sit a little bit deeper to limit the space in behind Chiellini and Bonucci. Their recovery paces when they get beaten over the top are not as good as it used to be, and that could be where Italy can get exposed if there's too much space in behind the back line. But that also puts more importance on the two fullbacks that Italy choose to use, and the one that I'm very, very high on is the one that will likely be starting on the left, and that's Roma's Leonardo Spinazzola. I rate Spinazzola for a number of reasons. The first is that he's good defensively. He's a very good defensive fullback for Roma, and in a back line that includes Bonucci and Chiellini, it is always good to have a third for when you're in possession. What Italy will most likely try to do is, for example, if the ball is on the right side of the pitch, Spinazzola will tuck in and form sort of a three-back with Chiellini and Bonucci, and vice versa. If the ball is on the left, then we'll see Florenzi or Di Lorenzo tuck into that space while Spinazzola can attack the pitch. There's still three defenders at the back. But what I really, really like Spinazzola for is the fact that he does get up the pitch, and he allows Lorenzo Insigne to be a lot more creative. And we spoke a little bit earlier about the importance of letting Lorenzo Insigne essentially do what he wants. It's because he's such a creative player, brilliant passer, excellent dribbler, the X factor, I think, in this Italy attack. And having Spinazzola there to advance high up the pitch, occupy that left flank, lets Insigne get a bit more central. Maybe he can tuck in behind Immobile. He doesn't have to stay pinned on that left side. That's why I really, really like the presence of Spinazzola in this Italy side. It's the same thing on the right side of this back four. I mentioned two names, Di Lorenzo and Florenzi. I think Florenzi is probably the one who's going to be starting, at least at first. But he has a very similar role to Spinazzola on the left, in that he'll be asked to defend Florenzi when the ball is on the opposite side of the pitch. But when he does get up the pitch, his presence on that right side allows a player like Domenico Berardi, for example, who, as we said, likes to cut inside and play more as a inside forward, to do that, because Florenzi is now occupying that right space. Also, somebody who can link with Niccolò Barella, link with Domenico Berardi, even Jorginho, depending on where Florenzi is on the pitch. Both of these fullbacks, Spinazzola and either Florenzi or Di Lorenzo, have massive responsibility, both defensively to help out with Bonucci and Chiellini, but also to get forward and allow Italy's forwards, their wing players, to play where they play best. For Insigne, that's everywhere, and for Berardi, it's a bit more central. In goal, let's do this one in 10 seconds, because that's all we really need. It's going to be Gigi Donnarumma, the heir to the throne of Gianluigi Buffon, who retired, I believe, from international competition after Italy's knockout in World Cup qualifying. Donnarumma is going to be Italy's starting keeper for the next 15 years. Very excited to see what he'll be able to do in his first major tournament with Italy. It's no competition. He is the number one. And if it's anybody else, then check the sanity of everybody in Italy's front office, because Gigi is your starting keeper. That's that. I don't even, truthfully, you'll see it on the graphic on the screen because I've made it. But I don't know who the other two goalkeepers. I don't even know if there are two other goalkeepers in Italy's side. I only know Gigi Donnarumma, and it's because I only need to know Gigi Donnarumma. I don't know who the other goalkeepers are. Truthfully, I don't care unless Gigi gets injured. Maybe that's disrespectful, but he's the starter, and that's never going to come into question, at least until 2030, I think. Roberto Mancini is the man in charge of this Italian side, and what a job he has done since he took over in 2018. The squad that Mancini took over was fresh off of not reaching the World Cup. It was an aging squad, a very aging squad. It had players like Andrea Barzagli, Antonio Candreva, Daniele De Rossi was still in the team. And so what Mancini said and what he did was completely go to youth. It was at the time, which maybe in hindsight it shouldn't have been, but it was at the time almost unheard of for a nation like Italy, which always commands immediate results. It commands do well in every single competition or you're gone. Mancini said, well, let's make it a long-term project. And boy, has it paid off. Some of the most important players in this Italian side are entering the primes of their years. Memo Locatelli is 23 years old. Niccolò Barella is 24. Gigi Donnarumma is still 22. It's the core. The players who will make up this Italian national team are already playing massive roles, and they're still so young. It is paying off in bunches for Mancini at Italy, and this is still just his first major international competition. It's fantastic what he's been able to do with this historic and legendary footballing nation in just a little bit over 24 months. And actually, that extra year that we had to wait to get this competition, Italy may have benefited the most out of any nation in the field, just because, and we mentioned it with Barella a little bit earlier, but there are more players. Federico Chiesa is another example of a player who, if this competition, if Euro 2020 was played in 2020, they wouldn't be in the team. They may be in the team. They wouldn't be starting. They wouldn't have these massive roles. Barella, certainly not. Chiesa, most likely not. Gigi Donnarumma would probably still be the starter, to be fair. I doubt many people would have even heard of Manuel Locatelli, just based on how much of a breakout season he had at Sassuolo this year. That extra 12 months has really, really helped Italy. And the other thing that Mancini has done that I really enjoy and appreciate is he's picked his team based on his tactics, not vice versa. He hasn't picked his tactics based on his team. He knows what he wants to do and how he wants to play, and he's selected players to buy into that, as opposed to bringing the 26 best players in your talent pool and saying, okay, let's figure something out. I've always thought that some managers have it backwards in that regard. I really, really appreciate how Mancini has his tactics and has brought in a squad that perfectly reflects what he's been trying to do. For example, he knows he wants to play in a 4-3-3, and I know with the other preview videos, I've come up with 2 other potential formations that a team can play in. I'm not even going to do that for Italy, because Italy will never not play in a 4-3-3 unless they're playing in a faux 3-4-3 because one of the fullbacks is playing high up the pitch. They're going to play the same way every single time. And you may think, well, that's kind of a self-inflicted wound, isn't it? Because if the opposition figures out how to beat it, then there's really no way to adapt. But my response to that would be yes and no, because the players in this team know so well what they have to do, and they understand their role so perfectly. It's going to be a lot easier said than done stopping Italy just because they really only play one way, is what I'm trying to say. They'll be in a 4-3-3. Here are 3 different ways that this 4-3-3 could look. What we do know about Mancini is that he will look to play in a 4-3-3 with inside forwards, which explains the presence of Domenico Berardi, attacking fullbacks he'll like to use, and very technically gifted midfielders, which is why Nicolo Barella is going to have such a massive role to play so early. That's also why Manuel Locatelli is likely going to be the other starting central midfielder alongside Barella and Jorginho. That's how he wants to play, and credit to him for sticking to that in some tough years for Italian football, because now he's got a fantastic side. Italy are in Group A alongside Turkey, Switzerland, and Wales. It should go without say that Italy should, at the very least, advance out of this group. I'd be disappointed if they didn't win this group, to be honest. I think the only other legitimate opposition that could get in the way is Turkey. I'm high on Turkey as a nation that could surprise some people. That said, I'm high on Italy as a nation that could surprise some people as well. So I do think Italy top Group A. I also like Italy as a nation that will make a bit of a run. And if you want to see my full bracket, you can go and check it out at WillFowler5 on my Twitter. But Italy, the more I read and learn about them, the more intrigued I am by what they are right now, what they are this summer. I have to admit, a few weeks ago, before I really dove into this Italian national team, I thought, oh, it's Insigne who's all right, it's Immobile who's a very good striker, but there's not many other pieces. The defense is old. Nicolo Barella is still very, very young, and I don't know if he's ready for a massive role like the one he'll get. But the more I watch and read about this Italian side, the more intrigued I am. I really, really, as the days progressed, have started to rate them more and more. I think Italy reached the semifinal and get knocked out by France in the European Championship semifinal. Hell of a run for a nation that is still very young and still in the early days, one would hope, of the Mancini era, because what he's done so far has been so good. You only hope that he gets the opportunity to continue that. I like Italy to win Group A, and I like Italy to make a bit of a respectable run in the knockout phase as well. So that is all for my preview on the Azzurri, but I want to know what you think Italy will do at this summer's Euros. It is a friendly group, but I know Italy has, they have some lovers, they have some haters. A lot of people are very high on Italy. A lot of people are very low on Italy. I think Italy is one of those nations that has the biggest spreads from people who are passionately for them, passionately against them, and I understand it. because all things considered, as high as I am on them, I very well could see them finishing second or third in the group, disappointing and flaming out in the round of 16. So let me know where you think Italy finishes in this summer's Euros. If you liked watching this video, please do me a favor and click that like button, click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. I've still got a few more nations to preview, including the Dutch, which I'm very, very excited for, along with Belgium. We've got to sit down and take a look at. Spain is a nation that we've got to discuss as a group. You're not going to want to miss those previews. Also, I'm hoping to come out with a couple of videos as the tournament goes on, just some tactical stuff, maybe some storylines. Who knows? I want to come out with a whole lot of content for this this competition. So be sure to like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of it. Also, please be sure to follow me on Twitter at WillFowler5. Follow London's Finest on Twitter at London's Finest QU. London's Finest is the show that me and two of my friends have. We hop on a Zoom call 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and just discuss whatever's going on in the world of international football. This summer will be very, very exciting because obviously the competitions, Euros, Copa America, Gold Cup, Olympics, everything is happening. Should be a very fun summer. So I'll link both of those handles in the description below for you to go follow. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.